Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and silence all electronic devices as the ceremony will begin shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our presiding officer, Brigadier General Richard G. Moore, Jr., Commander, 86th Airlift Wing, welcome to today's ceremony. This afternoon, we pay special tribute to Major Julianne Rudy on the occasion of her promotion to Lieutenant Colonel. My name is Technical Sergeant Jamie Burdette, and I'm your narrator for today's ceremony. As a reminder, today's ceremony is considered an outdoor event. Therefore, the wearing of headgear and rendering of salutes during the playing of ruffles and flourishes, as well as the German and American national anthems, is required. Additionally, verbal cues will be given when it's appropriate to stand and sit. We are honored to have some special guests with us today. Mr. Jim Rudy, spouse of Major Rudy. Vice Commander, 521st Air Mobility Operations Wing, Colonel Brad Spears. Director, Manpower, Personnel, and Services, Headquarters, United States Air Forces in Europe, United States Air Forces, Africa, Colonel Gordon Greeny. The leadership team from the 86th Mission Support Group, Deputy Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Corver, and Chief Enlisted Manager, Chief Master Sergeant Jamie Newman. We also welcome all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, fellow airmen, and family members. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, playing of ruffles and flourishes, and the singing of the German and American national anthems by the Ramstein High School Show Choir. Thank you, members of the show choir. Chaplain Brandon Stewart will now give the invocation.
May we bow our heads for a word of prayer. Most gracious, we thank you for this opportunity to be here for this promotion ceremony. We thank you for the opportunity to see a transition for Major Rudy to move to Lieutenant Colonel and to have this opportunity to celebrate with those that are friends and families and co-workers. Allow this opportunity to be a blessing, to be one that inspires us all, to be motivated to do the job that we've been called to do. Thank you for the family, and thank you for a great husband that's been a part of this journey. In the highest name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Stewart. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce our presiding officer, Brigadier General Rick Moore.
Awesome, thanks. Well, first of all, a few welcomes to some folks that are really located and important to us. First of all, Julie's husband, Jim. Glad you could be here to join us. The senior officers that are here, Chief Newman, fantastic turnout, and thank you very much. Brad, if you could have your people shut that thing down, it would be very helpful. Air power, okay, so I'll buy that. It's probably important before we start talking about Julie to talk about what it is that the Air Force does in order to promote folks. So what the Air Force doesn't do is say thank you, giving out promotions. The Air Force says thank you on the 1st and the 15th of every month or every 2 weeks to those of us that are civilians. But in order to promote someone, the Air Force has to decide that they have shown themselves worthy and shown the potential to serve in the next higher grade. Julie has certainly done that, and she's done it a year early as well for anybody that was keeping track. That's just about as cool as it gets. This is not recognition for past performance. This is absolutely about recognition of future potential. And in this case, Big Blue got it absolutely right. Couldn't have gotten it more right, in fact. So, Julie was born in Oxnard, California. I thought Oxnard was one of those places like Tupelo that you only hear about, but nobody's actually from there. But in fact, Julie was born there, but grew up in Port Hueneme. Apparently, it's only right across the street from Oxnard. Whatever that street is, I'm sure it's really important. But anyway, they probably call it the Main or something like that in California because that's how you people talk. In any case, as she was growing up, she went to high school with a guy named Jim Rudy. And she wouldn't give him the time of day, though, so it would be much later before they actually became a couple. But so Julie went off to college after high school, and then applied to the Air Force and decided she wanted to be a part of this thing that we have all decided we wanted to spend our lives doing. And they said, well, that's okay, but you got to go to school before you can be an officer, and that means officer training school, and we don't have a slot for you just now. And so she actually applied to the reserves as well, and they didn't have a slot for her, period. So she decided that probably the Air Force really was what she wanted to do, and so she accepted an OTS slot, and in the meantime, she got a job as a teacher. And she was teaching school, or beating children, one or the other. I think maybe it's the same. But in any case, while she was teaching, she remembered that there had been this guy that she knew in high school, and she wouldn't give him the time of day in high school, but she kind of decided she'd just check in with him, see how he was doing. Turned out he lived right down the street from where she was teaching. She was teaching in the Puget Sound area, and Jim was living in Salem, Oregon. And so they decided they would meet for lunch, only lunch. And if one of the two of them was going to have an escape call, who would you think it was? Yeah, Jim. Yeah, that was a good call. So in any case, then after that, they started corresponding, and 3 years later, they decided that they would get married and spend the rest of their lives together, and certainly, I think, a good call. So that all worked out fine, and Julie headed off to her first assignment at Travis Air Force Base in California, and my wife and I both love to drink wine, and we spent a lot of leave in Northern California. I don't know why you got to be stationed there and I never did, but in any case, great opportunity for a young lieutenant to kind of earn her stripes a little bit, and from there she went to probably what was her favorite job, at McCord Air Force Base as a section commander in the AMXS. Very close to the mission, and a job that I wish we still had, and I think we will have some folks come back to be section commanders, but super cool opportunity for a first lieutenant, and it went very well. Because shortly after a little bit of time in the MSS back then, for anybody that remembers that we used to have those, Julie came to the wing as a deputy exec. And that's where Julie and I met, and I was remarkably impressed from day one. I was the vice, and so the commander had given me the job of being the wing staff officer in chief. And so I worked closely with the execs and read every word of their work product, and learned a lot from Julie and her ability to synthesize complex thoughts clearly and succinctly in such a way that people that didn't know anything about anything were able to understand what the point of the paper was. It was truly a remarkable performance. It was so impressive, in fact, that after a little bit of more time in the MSS on the way out, or the FSS by that point, Julie went to Air Mobility Command as the sole person, the sole personnelist, working directly for the A3, in charge of the logistics and the admin and the concept and the execution behind the MAF-DT, the Mobility Air Force's developmental team for officers. And the cool thing about that was we had a spy, and that was very helpful. And Julie was always very careful what she shared with us, but it was usually just enough to help us make really good decisions. And so from there, Julie went on to be part of the A1 issues team at Air Mobility Command, and as we all know, A1 has nothing but issues. And so Julie was able to spend a little bit of... See if this one works better. Okay, so Julie was able to spend a little bit of time working 4-star level issues in a major command in the personnel world and impacting 39,000 airmen in the process. Very impressive. So in any case, after that, for some of the very best that we have, we send them for a year to study the art of the military. They study at the operational level, and Julie got to do that in Newport, Rhode Island, yet another place that I have spent my own money to travel to, but never gotten to be stationed there. So Naval Command and Staff College at Newport. And after that, somebody decided that for some reason she needed to work with colonels on their assignments. And I couldn't figure out why in the world they sent her to the colonels group, to DPO at the Air Staff. And I thought about the motto of the colonels group, and it's, we care just not about you. And I decided that didn't fit because Julie actually is quite a caring person. And they have another motto that's don't call us, well, that's it. And Julie's very personable, and so that wasn't it. And the other one they have is we're not happy till you're not happy. And that one just didn't fit either. And so I looked a little further into why in the world they would have sent Julie to the colonels group, and then I figured it out. She has a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. She's one of the few that can deal with the colonels in the Air Force and actually bend them to her will and get them to do what it is that they're supposed to do. So one might argue that she's still doing that, but in any case, a very successful tour in the colonels group at the Air Staff. And then we got an opportunity to bring Julie here as one of our 2 FSS commanders. This is the only wing in the Air Force with 2 FSS commanders, and we've had really truly some of the very best. We still have one of the best force support officers that I know, Renee Theot, in the sister squadron, and to bring Julie in as her companion, to me that is a team that cannot be beaten by anybody anywhere. It just really is truly as good as it gets, and watching Julie come into a squadron that was in great shape and lay down a plan to make it even better has been very gratifying to me. And I've been thrilled with the way you care for and lead your airmen, but more than that, the thing that's most important to me is the focus that you place on building them into a team that can perform a mission. That is ultimately the mark of success as a squadron commander, and in just a few short weeks, it has become obvious that you're all about that and that you're very, very good at it. So I'm honored to get an opportunity to promote you to Lieutenant Colonel. This is one of those transitions in the Air Force that we think is truly important. You know, there's the transition from being a lieutenant of any flavor to being a captain, and then there's the transition from being a captain to being a field grade officer, and then there's that kind of intermediate step between being a major and being a senior officer, a colonel. And we really expect an inordinate amount of ingenuity and intuition and just flat work from the lieutenant colonels in the Air Force. And you are going to be great at that. So with that, I think let's move on and do that. I would be remiss right quick if I didn't mention Ryan and Samantha. I know that they wish that they could be here. Samantha's busy hazing people in Washington to collect taxes, and Ryan with his reserve job in Missouri. But in any case, I know that they wish they could be here with you. Unfortunately, they're not. But we have Jim to represent the Rudy family, and let's see if we can make this official. All right.
Thank you, General Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Brigadier General Moore will now promote Major Rudy to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust in the confidence and the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Major Julianne Rudy. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Major Julianne Rudy is promoted to the grade of Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, effective the first day of October 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Lieutenant Colonel Rudy has requested her husband, Jim Rudy, come forward to pin on her new rank. Thank you, Mr. Rudy. It is symbolic at a ceremony such as this that promotees reaffirm the commitment to serve their nation as members of the armed forces. Please stand as General Moore administers the oath of office.
Turn face. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been appointed a Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Air Force, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter, so help me God. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Air Force is proud to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Julianne Rudy.
So, thank you, General Moore, for making this a memorable event. You are the man. Colonel Spears, Colonel Graney, MSG leadership, thank you for joining us today and helping it to be even more special. Fellow squadron commanders, thank you for taking time out of your busy days, and believe me, I know just how busy those are. Chaplain Stewart, thank you for your invocation and the blessing that you placed upon today. I'm especially grateful to Major Putnam, Sergeant Burdette, Sergeant Blake, Sergeant Johnson, Sergeant Munoz, Airman Payne, and the team at the best lodging outfit in the Air Force, and many others who are behind the scenes. Thank you all for putting together the ceremony and ensuring that it is fantastic. And to the Ramstein High School Show Choir, you guys rocked it, and I'd like to give them a round of applause for what they did. You made this memorable for Jim and I, so thank you very much. To the men, women, and sharks of the 786 FSS, you are the finest, hardest working group of folks that I know, and you make me proud every single day. I can't thank you enough for taking time to share this ceremony with Jim and I. Okay, I need to take a deep breath. To my husband, Jim, words cannot express how thankful I am, how lucky I am to have you by my side. I know you didn't want a gift, but I thought it would be appropriate to give you a small token. So I had a small grove of trees planted in your honor in the Deschutes National Forest. And I did say a small grove of trees, and there is personal history on that, so please help ask Jim and I about that, or Sergeant Burdette, who I had to explain this to so that he wouldn't make faces behind me when I announced that I had a grove of trees planted in Jim's honor. But thank you for making this a Team Rudy event, and a Team Rudy tour, and a Team Rudy career. I love you. To my children, Ryan and Samantha, who could not be here today, you provide me the motivation to be the best human being possible. You provide the motivation to be the best mother possible. And I love you with my entire whole being, my whole heart. To my mom and my stepdad and my sister, who also couldn't be here today, I can hear them shouting and whistling and their whoop whoops all the way from Oregon. I just couldn't possibly have bigger supporters than my family. And I know that was a long list of thank yous out here in the sun that's beating on you, and so I appreciate you putting up with that and enduring. But when I was preparing for this day, it caused me to do a lot of reflection and introspection about all the things that I am thankful for. And so not only am I thankful for the ceremony and for the support of my family and those of you who helped make this day special, but I'm actually really grateful to be a part of something bigger and something so freaking awesome as the United States Air Force. You know, I look back at all my experiences and my opportunities, and I realize, well, that's pretty freaking cool. But I will tell you, I didn't realize it sometimes during that time. Like, I may have needed some time to realize how special it was. Because there are moments where it doesn't quite feel it, but when you look back, it's pretty amazing. And I've been surrounded by great airmen, active duty, guard, reserves, civilians, enlisted officers. My entire career I've been surrounded by great airmen, and I'm just really thankful that I got to work side by side with them. And I wanted to say thank you to all of them who can be here and just put it out there. I'm super thankful to be in the Air Force and to serve with all of you. Major Putnam and her crew worked really hard to set up a pretty tasty buffet, so I hope you join us. There's some German cakes, German finger foods, German beer, some sweet tea from Popeyes even, maybe some coffee and tea. And Jim and I would be really honored if you broke bread with us after the ceremony was concluded. Again, thank you all.
Thank you, Colonel Rudy. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Air Force song, departure of the official party, and family members.
Wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun.